A presentation on Au Revoir Les Enfants by Maddie Wasco and Rebecca Vaughn. Au Revoir Les Enfants was directed, produced, and written by Louis Malle, a French film director, screenwriter, and producer, in 1987. The film won the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival. It is an autobiography with events based off of the childhood of Louis Malle. When Louis Malle was 11 years old, he attended a Roman Catholic boarding school where one day he witnessed a Gestapo raid in which 3 Jewish students, a Jewish teacher, and the headmaster who was hiding them were captured and taken to Auschwitz and Mauthausen. The movie takes place during the Vichy regime, which was the French government that succeeded the Third Republic. The French state collaborated with Nazi Germany by participating in raids to capture Jews, all organized by the French police.
The movie starts out with Julien Quinton, a student at Carmelite boarding school in France, going back to school. He acts tough towards his classmates and friends, but he is actually a mama's boy. When he has to leave his mom to go back to boarding school, he becomes upset. Julien is bored during school until a new student is introduced. This student is named Jean Bonnet, and he is the same age as Julien. At first, Julien does not like Bonnet because he is very smart but also very shy. Julien wakes up in the middle of the night one night and sees Bonnet praying in Hebrew, so Julien decides to look through his locker the following day. He finds out that Bonnet's real name is Jean Kippelstein, and he is being hidden by the headmaster Pierre Jean. Eventually, Bonnet and Julien bond and become close friends during a game of treasure hunt. They become very good friends, and Julien's family invites Bonnet to come to lunch with them at a fancy French restaurant where the Milice arrive and try to expel a Jewish customer. We find out that Julien's family does not have anything against Jews, and then one morning in January of 1944, the Gestapo raided the school in search of 3 Jewish students and the headmaster that was hiding them. They barge into the classroom looking for a boy named Jean Kippelstein. Julien was the only one who knew Bonnet's identity, and he turned around to look at Bonnet. This gave his cover away, and they took Bonnet and the 2 other students to Auschwitz, and the headmaster, Pierre Jean, to Mauthausen, where they all died.
An important theme in the movie is the loss of innocence. This can be seen with both Julien and Jean Bonnet. Julien is a normal French boy sent off to boarding school to stay safe from the air raids. What he doesn't understand is that kids his own age are being tortured and killed just because they are Jewish. Julien himself doesn't even know what it means to be a Jew. When he asks his brother what a Jew is, his brother replies with, "Someone who doesn't eat pork." This shows how little the boys actually know about what is going on. When Julien discovers that Jean is actually Jewish, he is not bothered by it and understands that it must be kept a secret. The moment he truly loses his innocence is when he accidentally gives away Jean's real identity to the Gestapo soldiers and realizes the consequences of being a Jew in France at this time. Julien lives with the guilt of exposing his friend, and this sticks with him for the rest of his life, forcing him to let go of a piece of his childhood.
Bonnet also suffers from a loss of innocence the minute he is forced to change his name and hide his religion and identity. He is a Jewish boy who changes his name from Jean Kippelstein to Jean Bonnet to sound more French. He is also forced to go to a Catholic school to help hide his identity and keep him safe. He has to try and blend in with the other boys all of the time. For example, he tries taking communion to fit in, but the priest does not let him because he doesn't want him to completely betray his religion. Also, he can no longer rely on his parents for comfort or protection and must depend on himself. He loses a sense of childhood when he becomes self-dependent.
Another theme is the senselessness of the war. When Julien asks his brother why everyone hates Jews, his brother tells him that they are smarter than us and they crucified Jesus. Julien responds with, "No, they didn't. The Romans did." This shows the audience the senselessness and groundlessness of the entire war.
Also, during the scene when the family is out eating, a French collaborator attempts to kick out an elderly, rich Jewish man, even though he has been eating there for years. This shows how those who were once respected are now hated for no reason other than their beliefs, which seems ridiculous to the audience.
Malle gets this theme across very well by making the film about specific individual stories instead of an overall war story.
The personal stories within the film create a more intimate atmosphere and focus on one aspect of the war instead of trying to sum every aspect into one film.